I woke up that morning with my aunt's voice echoing in my skull like a bad acid trip, her words from last night slithering through the cracks of my consciousness. You're nothing but a failure, Harmony, peddling street slop like some gutter rat. I'm doing you a favor by calling the health inspectors. But here's the kicker. She didn't just report my food truck. She framed me for a felony she'd committed years ago, a secret embezzlement from our family's old diner that I'd unknowingly covered for as a kid, thinking it was just creative accounting to keep the lights on. And as I stared at my reflection in the truck's greasy side mirror, wiping sleep from eyes that weren't quite mine anymore, I realized the cosmic joke. We'd swapped bodies overnight, her polished suburban shell housing my rage, and my tattooed, calloused hands now gripping the wheel of her Volvo, ready to drive straight into the heart of her empire. It started with a storm, the kind that Seattle brews up like it's got a personal grudge, sheets of rain hammering the rooftop of my food truck, Harmony's Hidden Bites, parked in the shadow of the Space Needle where the tourists swarm like caffeinated bees. I'd sunk everything into this rig 3 years back, my inheritance from Dad, scraped together after Mom bailed for some tech bro in Silicon Valley, leaving me with nothing but recipes scribbled on napkins and a chip on my shoulder the size of Mount Rainier. Tacos al pastor with a pineapple kick that could wake the dead, elotes slathered in cotija, and chili lime that made lines snake around the block. It was my lifeline, my middle finger to the world that said a mixed-blood girl like me, half Navajo from Dad's side, half white-bread Pacific Northwest from Mom's, didn't belong in the culinary game. Aunt Evelyn had always hated it. Street food? Darling, that's for immigrants who can't hack it in a real kitchen. She'd sneer over Sunday brunch at her McMansion in Bellevue, her Botox-smooth face twisting like she'd bitten into a lemon. She was the queen bee of our fractured family, the one who'd clawed her way from waitress to real estate mogul, flipping properties for Seattle's elite while Dad rotted in an early grave from overwork. I'd idolized her once, back when I was 10, and she'd slip me 20s for helping at the diner. Turns out, those helps were me forging receipts to hide her skimming cash for her first down payment. A kid's mistake, or so I thought, until the guilt gnawed at me like termites in wet wood. I'd carried that secret like a stone in my gut, never breathing a word, even when the IRS audits came calling and Dad took the fall, dying broke and broken. Last night, after her latest tirade, calling me from her gated community to advise me to shut down the truck before I embarrassed the family, I'd slammed a fist into the dash of my ancient Ford F-150, the one towing the trailer home. Sparks flew, literally, some freak short circuit from the storm, or maybe the universe's middle finger right back. I blacked out, woke up gasping in silk sheets that smelled like Chanel No. 5 and regret. Her body, my mind, and across town, in my sagging trailer bed, her consciousness blinking awake in my skin, probably screaming bloody murder at the mirror. Panic hit first, a freight train through my veins. I stumbled to her en-suite bathroom, marble and mirrors everywhere, like a tomb for the vain, and gaped at the stranger staring back. 52, blonde bob impeccable even in sleep, crow's feet airbrushed by fillers. But the eyes? Mine. Storm gray, flecked with that Navajo fire Dad always said burned too hot. What the actual fuck? I whispered, my voice coming out in her clipped, country club timbre. A laugh bubbled up, hysterical and ugly, because if this was a dream, it was the best one yet. Opportunity. Payback. The kind of revenge that simmers slow, then boils over into something biblical. I rifled through her closet, tailored blazers, pencil skirts that hugged like a vice, settling on a simple black sheath that screamed, power lunch. Her phone buzzed on the nightstand, a text from her assistant. Board meeting at 10, don't forget the mayor's pitch. Mayor Harlan Voss, the silver fox with a jawline like chiseled granite and a reputation for greasing palms smoother than my Al Pastor marinade. Evelyn had been courting him for months, whispering sweet nothings about waterfront developments that would displace half of Pioneer Square's vendors, me included, if her zoning suggestions panned out. Irony. She'd been the one to tip off the city about illegal operations in the food truck district, her anonymous calls disguised as concerned citizenry. But this morning, with her face as my mask, I could flip the script. By 6 a.m., I was gunning her Volvo toward the waterfront, the wipers slapping rhythm like a countdown. My truck, our truck now, in this twisted swap, sat there under sodium lamps, rain pooling in the awning folds. I parked a block away, heart hammering as I approached on foot, heels clicking like gunfire on the wet pavement. The air smelled of salt and diesel, fried onions from the night shift lingering like ghosts. And there she was, me, or Evelyn in my body, huddled under the truck's overhang, shivering in my threadbare hoodie, eyes wild with confusion and fury. She spotted her own face on me and froze, mouth agape like a landed trout. "Harmony? What the hell is this?" she hissed, voice cracking in my gravelly tone. Up close, my body looked smaller, frailier, Evelyn's polished soul shrinking inside it. I smiled, slow and serpentine, channeling every slasher flick I'd binged on late-night shifts. "Morning, Aunt Evie. Sleep well in the help's quarters? Because I sure as shit did in your penthouse palace." I stepped closer, the rain dripping from my borrowed bangs. "You called the inspectors on me last night, didn't you? Said my truck was a public health hazard. Funny, considering the real hazard's been you, siphoning family funds since I was in diapers. Dad died covering your ass. And you repay him by trying to bury me too." My face crumpled, a mix of denial and dawning horror. "You don't understand. It was a mistake, all of it. The money. I had to. For us. For the legacy. Lies, wrapped in that familial velvet. But I saw the flicker, the secret she'd buried deeper than bodies in the sound. Not just embezzlement, a cover-up. Years ago, during a diner remodel, she'd hired shady contractors who'd cut corners, leading to a gas leak that killed 2 line cooks. Dad took the blame, manslaughter plea to keep her name clean. I'd signed the false statements as a witness, too young to know better, sealing my own noose. Before she could spit more venom, headlights sliced the gloom. A black Escalade purred to the curb, right in front of my truck. Out stepped Mayor Voss himself, trench coat flapping like Batman's cape, his detail hanging back discreet. He rubbed gloved hands together, eyeing the menu chalkboard I'd scrawled at midnight. "Burritos that bite back. First come, first served." Well, he drawled, that honeyed drawl masking the steel beneath. "Heard this spot's got the best damn breakfast in the city. Don't mind if I do." He glanced at me, Evelyn in my skin, expectant. She blinked, thrown, but instinct kicked in. She was me now, after all. Yeah, Mayor. What'll it be?" As she fumbled with the grill, I melted into the shadows, watching. Voss ordered the works. Chorizo scramble, fresh tortillas steaming. He chatted her up, oblivious to the swap, praising the grit of truck life while Evelyn played along, her silver tongue tripping over my slang. By the time he bit in, moaning like a man saved, word spread. His detail lined up, then joggers, then a cluster of bleary-eyed techies from Amazon's campus. My first rush, ever, on a tip from the top. But Evelyn caught my eye across the steam, her glare promising war. "This isn't over," she mouthed. Damn right it wasn't. With her face, her Rolodex, her leverage, I was just getting started. I slipped away from the waterfront as the line swelled, Voss's laughter booming like thunder over the sizzle of carne asada. Her Volvo ate up the miles back to Bellevue, the radio droning NPR's morning brief on zoning reforms. Evelyn's pet project, no doubt, designed to pave over the little guys like me for luxury condos with ocean views. The house loomed like a bloated tick on its manicured hill. 5 bedrooms, infinity pool overlooking Lake Washington, every inch screaming old money new sins. I let myself in with her key fob, the alarm chirping a greeting like a loyal dog. Inside, it was all stark whites and abstract art, Hearst knockoffs that cost more than my truck's down payment. I poured a scotch from her decanter, neat, the burn steadying my borrowed nerves. Time to dig. Her office was a sanctum of sleek walnut and locked drawers. I jimmied the top one with a letter opener. Child's play compared to hot wiring the truck's generator on slow nights. Files spilled, deeds, tax returns, and there, buried under mortgage docs, a manila envelope stamped personal destroy. My hands, her manicured claws, trembled as I slid it open. Photos first, grainy Polaroids from the 90s, Dad's diner mid-renovation, workers in hard hats smoking by exposed pipes. Then the report, official, redacted, citing negligent installation leading to the explosion. Names blacked out, but one attachment, a faded email printout from Evelyn to the contractor. "Make it cheap, make it quick." Blame falls on the owner if it goes south. And Dad's signature on the waiver I'd forged, my childish scrawl beside it, as co-signer. Rage boiled, hot and black, but I tamped it down. This wasn't just betrayal, it was erasure. She'd built her empire on our bones, then turned on me when my truck threatened her narrative of self-made success. Can't have a niece slinging tacos reminding folks where the seed money came from, I muttered, snapping pics with her phone. Evidence, digital and damning. A buzz, her assistant, Lila, a mousy thing with a nose for bullshit. Miss Hargrove? You're late for the 9 a.m. with Voss's office. The waterfront deal. Running behind, Lila. Stall. I hung up, mind racing. The mayor, my unwitting ally this morning. Key to her downfall. Evelyn had been pitching him on eminent domain for Truck Row, sweetening it with donations to his campaign that smelled like bribes wrapped in bows. If I could flip that, expose her from the inside. I showered quick, her L'Occitane soaps feeling like silk on stolen skin, then suited up, power heels, pearl earrings that pinched like accusations. The drive to City Hall was a blur of evergreens blurring into steel spires, Seattle's pulse thrumming with that damp, determined energy. I flashed her ID at security, gliding past like I owned the joint, which, in her world, I kinda did. Voss's suite was all leather and mahogany. The man himself perched on the edge of his desk, sleeves rolled up, tie loosened like he'd just run a 5K. Evelyn, the ghost herself, heard you missed the burrito frenzy. You're doing? He winked, handing me a coffee, black as his soul probably was. I sipped, forcing her laugh, light, tinkling, like wind chimes in a hurricane. Guilty, but Harmony's truck? A gem. We should protect spots like that, Harlan, not bulldoze them for another soulless high-rise. He arched a brow, leaning in. That's not the pitch I remember. Last week, you were all about urban renewal. What's the angle? Angle? Honey, I'm the goddamn arrow. Changed my mind. Family ties, you know? That girl's blood. And I've been reflecting on costs. Real ones. I slid a folder across, fudged docs from her files, tweaked to show her donations as kickbacks. This deal? It stinks. Of her. Us enabling it. Voss's eyes narrowed, scanning the pages. A beat. Then, bold move, Evie. You turning whistleblower on yourself? He chuckled, but there was ice in it. Power players like him thrived on loyalty. Betrayal was currency, but only if it profited. Not on myself, I said, voice dropping to her conspiratorial purr. On the truth. Help me bury this, and I'll bury the competition for you. Clean slate. He steepled fingers, weighing. Outside, the ferry horn wailed, a mournful call. All right, but if this blows back. It won't. Lie, beautiful lie. As I left, phone in hand, I texted me. Evelyn, from her burner app, meet at the diner ruins. Noon. Come alone. The old spot was a husk now, boarded up on the industrial edge of Soto, weeds clawing through cracked asphalt. Rain had eased to mist, cloaking the graffiti-tagged walls in gray sorrow. She arrived in my beat-up truck. Our truck, tires crunching gravel, face twisted in my features like a bad mask. Give it back, she snarled, slamming the door. Whatever witch doctor shit this is, undo it. I stepped from the shadows, her heels sinking in mud. Witch doctor? Try karma, and Evie. Or fate. Doesn't matter. What matters is you confess. To the families of those cooks. To Dad's ghost. And to the feds about the money trail. Her laugh was brittle, echoing off rusted dumpsters. Confess? To a nobody like you? I made this family. You? You're the mistake. Harmony, the half-breed brat who signed away our future. She lunged, my own fist surprisingly weak in her frame, but I sidestepped, grabbing her wrist, my wrist, and twisting just enough to pin her against the wall. Sign away? I was 10. You groomed me, gaslit me into your scapegoat. And now, with your face, your voice, I can end you. One call to Voss, and your empire crumbles. I held up her phone, thumb hovering over record. Say it. All of it. Tears. Mine. Hers. Who knew? Streaked her cheeks. Please. I did it for you too. College funds. The works. It was survival. Survival? You survived. We didn't. The words hung, heavy as the mist. But as she broke, spilling fragments, the contractor's name, the payoff amounts, a van rumbled up, unmarked, Voss's details spilling out. Not rescue. Retrieval. Ms. Hargrove. The lead goon grunted, cuffing her me with zip ties. Mayor says you're done pitching and talking. Betrayal, round 2. Voss hadn't flipped. He played us both. Evelyn's eyes met mine over the hood, triumph flickering, then confusion. You? I backed away, heart sinking. The swap? It was no accident. Her reflection, comment earlier. A ritual, some dark web occult bullshit she dabbled in to shed her skin for reinvention. But it backfired, binding us tighter than blood. And Voss, her lover, her shield, now turning the knife. The van peeled out, taillights fading into the Soto sprawl, leaving me, in her skin, splattered with mud and the acrid tang of betrayal's aftertaste. Sirens wailed distant, a siren's song for the damned. I clawed into her Volvo, fingers fumbling keys like a drunk at last call, and tore back to the waterfront. My truck sat there, engine idling, a skeleton crew of regulars milling confused. Where was Harmony? The real one, the one slinging slop with a smile. Evelyn, trapped in my body, was en route to some blackside holding pen, courtesy of Voss's discretion. And me? I had hours, maybe days, before the swap unraveled or the cops connected dots that weren't there. First stop, the truck. I vaulted the counter, awkward in heels, skirt hiking like a bad date, and fired up the grill, muscle memory kicking in despite the alien limbs. Burritos for the line. On the house, mayor's orders. I bellowed, channeling my old bark. They bought it, the diehards, chowing down as I pocketed tips and whispered to my runner, Jax, a pierced-up vet with a knack for fences. Watch the rig. Trouble's coming. Hide the books if badges show. He nodded. No questions. Trust like that was rare in this game. Then I was off again. Evelyn's Tesla, parked in her reserved spot, purring toward the underbelly of her operations. Her real estate firm, Hargrove Holdings, squatted in a glass tower off Stewart Street, all reflective surfaces hiding the rod inside. I badged in as her, elevator dinging to the C-suite like Judgment Day. Lila jumped at her desk, eyes wide. Ms. H? You're early. Changes, Lila. Big ones. I breezed past, locking her office door. Computer on, password her wedding date. Ironic, since Uncle Ray ate a bullet chasing her affairs. Emails flooded. Voss's thread, laced with pillow talk and payoff logs. Darling, the girl's truck is leverage. Squash it, and she folds. Attached, my forged health violations, her digital fingerprints all over. Download, encrypt, send to an anonymous drop, ProPublica tip line, with a note. Follow the mayor's menu. Controversial? Hell yes. Exposing corruption could torch the city, displace devs who'd lose shirts. But screw em. This was personal, a vendetta etched in pork fat and lies. Phone rang, blocked. I answered, Voss's voice slithering through. Evelyn. Or should I say, little Harmony? Cute trick with the files. But you're in over your head, girl. Your aunt's singing already, blaming you for the swap, some Navajo curse bullshit. Cops'll eat that up. Chills, despite the leather seat's heat. You knew? The whole time. A chuckle, low and mean. Knew enough. Evelyn's been my rainmaker for years. That diner fire? My first favor to her. Hushed it for a cut of the flips. Now you play nice, swap back, and we all walk. Or I bury you both in Gitmo light. The line died. I smashed the phone, shards flying like confetti at a funeral. No time for rage, action. I rated her safe. Combo her dog's birthday, pathetic, scooping bearer bonds, a Glock 19 oiled and loaded. Controversial decision 1. Arm up. Seattle's blue walls wouldn't save me. This was vigilante hours now. Back at the truck by dusk, the row was a circus, inspectors swarming, bosses doing, citing anonymous tips. Jax held the line, fists balled, but I waved him off. Let em. We're clean. Cleaner than her conscience, anyway. As they slapped violation tape, I slipped a USB to a reporter pal, Tina from the PI, embedded in the crowd. Front page, tomorrow. Mayor's breakfast special. Corruption with a side of cover-up. Night fell hard. Neon bleeding into puddles. I holed up in my trailer. Our trailer, parked in a Fremont lot under the troll shadow. The swap ached now, a psychic tether pulling like barbed wire. Dreams bled into wakefulness. Evelyn in a cell, screaming my name. Dad's ghost flipping burgers in hellfire. I woke sweating, her silk pajamas twisted, and drove to the one place she'd never tainted. the reservation outskirts, where Dad's ashes scattered under ponderosis. There, by firelight, a stolen propane lantern, I performed the reversal. Not magic, science, sorta. Evelyn's ritual kit from her nightstand. Ayahuasca analogs, black market nootropics spiked with who knows what, meant to shed guilt via dissociation. I dosed double, chanting Navajo fragments Mom mocked. Beauty before me, beauty behind, as visions swirled. Her life flashed. The fire, screams, Dad's plea bargain tears. Mine, truck grease, lonely dawns, that spark of joy in a perfect bite. Dawn broke, body snapping back like a rubber band to hell. I gasped awake in my skin, tattoos itching, calluses raw, trailer reeking of sage and regret. Swap undone, but the game? Just heating up. Across town, Evelyn stirred in hers, disoriented, the cell's fluorescent buzz her alarm. Voss's men had released her on technicalities, but the damage festered. By noon, headlines screamed, Mayor's morning meal, bribes and burnt secrets. Tina's scoop, my whispers. Protests erupted at City Hall, truckers blocking streets with rigs, signs reading, Eat the rich, not our livelihood. I fired up the grill, line forming despite the raids. Evelyn showed at twilight, her face gaunt, eyes hollowed pits. You win, she whispered, sliding an envelope across the counter. Deeds to the truck row, signed over. Take it. Just. Stop. Win? Nah. This was check. Too late, Aunt Evie. The families know. The feds too. Cops had raided her office that morning, Lila flipping like a pancake for immunity. She crumpled, rain mixing with tears. I loved you in my way. Love doesn't burn. I turned away, plating her order, a plain cheese enchilada, bland as her soul. As she ate in silence, Voss's SUV rolled up, not for tacos this time. Feds piled out, badges glinting. Evelyn Hargrove, you're under arrest for fraud, manslaughter facilitation, and conspiracy. She went quiet, cuffs clicking like final punctuation. Me? I served the crowd, the mayor's empty chair a throne for the taking. But revenge, I've learned, is a two-way street with potholes the size of grudges. Weeks blurred into a gritty haze, court dates in federal courtrooms that smelled of stale coffee and shattered dreams. Evelyn's empire crumbling like overcooked polenta. She lawyered up with sharks from K Street, painting me as the vengeful niece, the mystical meddler behind the swap. A tale spun from half-truths and hallucinogens. Tabloids ate it up, body swap vendetta, taco truck terror or family curse. Protests turned ugly, picketers outside my truck waving signs. Harmon why? Which of the waterfront? While Voss lawyered his way to a plea, ratting on her for reduced time. He walked with a fine and a promise to reform. The slimy bastard, back to ribbon cuttings and backroom deals. I thrived, in a twisted way. The truck boomed, national press sniffing for the plucky survivor, Food Network scouts slobbering over my recipes. Jax and I expanded, a second rig in Capitol Hill slinging fusion Navajo tacos. Blue corn tortillas, bison barbacoa, a nod to Dad's roots that shut up the purists. Money flowed, enough to buy the diner lot outright, turning it into a community kitchen, free meals for the displaced, a fuck you to the fires that birthed us. But nights? They clawed deep. The swap's echo lingered, phantom itches where her polish met my grit, dreams of her pleading in my skin. Controversial calls piled up. First, testifying. I took the stand in her cream arraignment, voice steady as I unpacked the box, the embezzlement, the fire, the frame on Dad, now me. Jurors leaned in, faces a mix of pity and suspicion. Was I angel or avenger? Evelyn glared from the dock, her Botox cracking under the strain, whispering to her counsel about cultural delusions. The judge, a grizzled vet with a soft spot for underdogs, banged gavel on conspiracy charges, but manslaughter? Hung jury, mistrial whispers. I pushed for retrial, but whispers turned to deals. Time served plus restitution. Her empire auctioned off, proceeds to the victim's fund, mine to administer, a poisoned chalice. Second call, mercy. A letter arrived, pink prison stationery, her script shaky. Harmony. I was the monster because I feared becoming you, small, unseen. Forgive, for the blood we share. Bullshit poetry, but it gnawed. I visited once, plexiglass between us, her face stripped bare, wrinkles winning the war. Why the truck? She croaked. Why not let it die? Because Dad's ghost flipped better than you ever schemed. I left without absolution, but planted a seed. Appeal for work release, her skills in a community rebuild. Debatable? Hell yes. Reward the viper? Or redeem the blood? The twist hit like a gut punch on a slow Tuesday, rain lashing the awning as I prepped carnitas. Tina called, voice hushed, digging deeper on the swap. Evelyn didn't botch a ritual, harmony. She engineered it, with Voss. Black market neurotech, some DARPA dropout's wet dream. Temporary consciousness transfer for interrogation simulations. She tested it on you to steal your recipes, your grit. Implanted in herself for a reinvention tour. But it bonded. Permanent, docs say. You're free. But echoes remain. Echoes. That's what I felt in the mirror some nights. Her ambition flickering behind my eyes, sharpening my edge. Voss. He bolted post-plea. Rumored fled to a Cayman bolt hole. But his reforms stuck. Truck protections, zoning shields. My doing? Or hers, bleeding through? Climax came unbidden. A year in, at the diner's grand reopening. Ribbon cut by a new mayor. All earnest millennials and equity talk. Crowds swelled. Families of the cooks. Jack's grinning beside me. Even Lila, redeemed as bookkeeper. Speeches droned. Then Evelyn arrived. Paroled early, gaunt in a thrift coat. Eyes locked on mine. Applause died as she approached the mic, uninvited. This place. It killed my illusions. Harmony didn't just survive me. She became me, better. Gasps rippled. Was it contrition or con? She handed me the mic, whispering, finish it. I did, voice cracking. Revenge? It tastes like ash. But justice? That's the spice that lingers. We hugged. Awkward, electric, two souls in truce. And the crowd erupted, debatable cheers for a ending neither happy nor tragic, just raw American messy. Now, trucks thrive, secrets unearthed, but the tether hums faint. Is she in me, or I in her ghost? Readers argue. Redemption or relapse? Hero or haunt? I flip another taco, smile for the line, and let the debate simmer. After all, in this city of rain and reinvention, who's to say what's swapped for good?